Good morning, Sunday morning, and I just released a video on the drawer slides, how to make them, and I'm standing in front of it here. I've got this piece of plywood rigged up so that I could make it so that I get a decent looking thumbnail to put on the video. Something that, see, the thing about making thumbnails or taking pictures of any kind of shop thing that you're doing, unless it's the finished project, you know, that people can recognize, it looks recognizable to you because you know what you're looking at. However, most people, when they look at it, are not going to see the same thing. So if I just put a picture of the one that I made in the video, they wouldn't know what the heck that is. They have to actually see the drawers. This is something I've learned from doing this for, almost 10 years. So I came out yesterday morning and I took about 15-20 minutes to set this up. I took some pictures. Like, there are 3 drawers in the thumbnail, but there's just one drawer. I just used one drawer. The video hasn't been out very long, but I've already gotten a couple of comments that I should talk about. The first one is having to do with my router table. You can see it down there in the video. And the hand wheel was moving during a cut. And I guess the person thought that the depth of cut was changing with that. Well, what you're noticing there is not the depth of cut changing on the router, it's the backlash of the hand wheel. You see, this can move, the hand wheel can move, probably, at least maybe 90 degrees without having any impact on the lift mechanism in there whatsoever. That's backlash. Like I talked about no perfect machines before. People that are not mechanical or are not very mechanically inclined don't know about these things, okay? So the no perfect machines thing is that there's backlash between, hand wheels and what they're supposed to control. And then not to mention that the position won't change anyway because there's a locking mechanism on the router. That's other knob that's above the hand wheel there. You tighten that in, it locks the router in position and the lift mechanism in position, and it doesn't move at all. I also got a comment about the screw in here, concerned that the threads on the screw will wear out, cause wear. Well, the screw is only there, and a couple people actually answered this, and I thanked them for that. I really like that when people that know the answer, know the correct answer, jump in and answer, a comment like that. And what guides this slide back and forth are the runners. That's what it's making contact with on the bottom and on the top, okay? It doesn't contact that screw. This is a number 10 screw, which means that the shank on it is around 3/16 of an inch, okay? The slot that it rides in is a 1/4 inch. So that means that the slot is a full 1/16 of an inch bigger than the screw itself. At no point should the threads of that screw be contacting the side of that slot. All right, that bigger slot is there for the head of the screw. The only real contact that the head of the screw should be making is when it stops on the end up against the thing here, or on the other end like that, and on the face of the slot. The underside of the head will rub on the face of that slot, the 1/2 inch slot, and it keeps the slide from coming out. Okay, so that's the dual purpose of the screw. It's a stop that limits how far it can move, and it also stops it from coming out that way. All right, very simple mechanism. Like I said, it's early in the video, it hasn't come up yet, but people are gonna probably ask about wax, whether they should wax the slides. And I did an experiment with the 3 drawers that I made in that unit down there. The double-sided unit I made a couple years ago has 3 drawers in the bottom. That I made this type of wooden, not this type, but the first type, the more complicated type of wooden drawer slides on, and I use 3 different things to lubricate those slides. The first thing I use is wax. I put on paste wax on the runners themselves and on the slides. And then the next thing I used was Vaseline. I smeared that all over the slides. And then the third thing that I used was water-based polyurethane. Of the 3, the only one that worked immediately and is still working to this day is the water-based polyurethane. That is the magic sauce here. Last comment I want to talk about, it's not one that I got on this video, although like I said, it's brand new, so give it time, I'm sure it'll come. It's the comment that I'm sure everyone that's doing this on YouTube is getting repeatedly, and that's from people that are saying, well, $10,000 worth of tools, or $20,000 worth of tools, or $100,000 worth of tools. Well, I mean, what are we supposed to not do the work in our shops? Are we supposed to, do it in a closet in a small apartment? Because I did that before. And these people that are saying these things are looking for excuses for not doing things. Once upon a time, I wasn't living in a place like this. I was living in an apartment. And the places that I did the working that I did when I was home was a storage room that was inside the apartment. If you've ever lived in an apartment building, like a high-rise, you know how big the storeroom would be. It's like 4 feet by something like, 10 feet, maybe 12 feet. And the other place was the balcony. Okay, it wasn't a balcony, it was glassed in. But that was another area that I would be doing the woodworking because I could close the sliding door and keep the dust out there, right? If you're not able to do woodworking, you watch videos like this with people, that have some equipment in their shops, even when it's like me that has homemade equipment. If you really want to do this stuff, you can do it. You can find a way. Otherwise, you're just making excuses for yourself, adopting this victim mentality, poor me. I've got no place to do this. I've got no material. I've got no tools. You might have heard this one before. Where there's a will, there's a way. So if you're lacking in will, you're never going to find a way. So stop making excuses for yourself and accept that the problem originates with you. Now, with all that said, I think that it's possible in the near future that 3D printing may kill off a lot of the, the small scale woodworking that people like I do, because as these machines get more and more sophisticated, they'll take over more. Also, with the sophistication, they become cheaper. They'll take over more of the market share of the things that you would be making from wood. Because here's the benefit of wood. It's readily available, as in you can go just about anywhere and get it. And it's relatively cheap so that, you can afford to do these things. And it's very easy to work with, as in you don't need these big, fancy $20,000 shops to work with it. You can just have some hand tools and you can get acceptable results. But what a lot of people that watch these woodworking videos don't realize is how much skill's involved in that. Okay? And, you watch someone like me that's been doing this all my life. There have been people that said over and over again, you make that look easy. And you'll see it on every other woodworking video as well. You make that look easy. These are the people that realize how much skill is involved, even in working with these high dollar tools in these big equipped shops. Okay, there's still a lot of skill involved. Skill that doesn't come wrapped up in a box. You have to develop it through practice, right? Whereas the 3D printer, you just take that out of the box, you plug it in, you got some monkeying around to program the thing and run some tests and all that. But eventually you get to the point where you can just design something and set that thing to print, and let it do its thing, right? There's not really any physical skill involved in the production of the thing. Also, what you wind up with is very nicely, all corners are nicely rounded, so it looks good when you get it out of the thing. Whereas if you don't have the skill developed for woodworking, the thing that you produce probably won't look that good, and it may not work that good, right? The first 2 or 3 things that you make.
What's this?
I'm not sure. What's it about? I don't know. Who's that? I think the guy in the hat did something terrible.